Yep.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Trifles and Tribulations podcast, the podcast where we talk about stuff that is annoying and obtrusive and just constantly irritating and the stuff that just really, really gets to you. But it's just not worth it in the moment to get into. Um, First and foremost, as always, how was your week, Telgar?
My week has sucked. Well, uh,
Tell
it's
me
both
about it.
sucked. It's been both good and bad. It's been good for reasons. It's also been bad for reasons. Probably the biggest thing is just the current job I'm doing. It just fucking sucks. This customer has this old ass machine. It's like 20 fucking years old. It's beat up. It's just got all these problems. The customer has just not been taking care of it. He's been maintaining it. Everything is misaligned. It's misadjusted. I keep trying to fix one thing, and as soon as I fix one thing, I find out another thing's all fucked. And this should have been like a 1 day job, and now it's turned out to be a 3 day job. And
Don't you
it
just
just sucks.
love it when people refuse to communicate with you so that you have to spend more time trying to fix something? And they're like, oh, I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
even ask you to fix that. And it's like, well, in order to fix the main thing, I needed to go and fix this other thing.
Yep. And especially when it with in my line of work, when you're working on these machines, they're the best way that I can describe these machines is if you think of most pieces of machinery as, like, let's say kitchen appliances.
Okay.
Let's say this machine, you have this machine, you have this machine. It's like your blender, your dishwasher, and your stove or your refrigerator. And if you think of a kitchen, you have all these different appliances that kind of come together to make your kitchen. And
Mm-hmm.
you use all these different appliances separately to do different separate jobs, but in the end, the final product is like your dinner or your breakfast or your lunch.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just simply make breakfast, like let's say it's eggs and bacon, by having a fridge but not having the oven. You can't just store the eggs in the fridge but then not be able to cook them on the oven.
Mm-hmm.
So each of these different appliances come together to make your kitchen. Each of these different appliances come together to serve a purpose to make your food. In my industry, we have one machine that is the kitchen. And every fucking station in this machine is each different appliance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the best way to describe my job. I'm not working on a single appliance. I'm working on a whole kitchen of appliances. And all of these appliances have to work perfectly in sync for the job to be done. And so if one appliance, one station in this machine is not working properly, it fucks everything up. And so if I'm told, hey, I need you to fix the glue pot for this machine, and it's like, okay, I'll fix the glue pot, and then the banding will be glued to the board properly, and then everything will be fixed. Oh, no, no, no. The banding may not be gluing, not because of the glue pot, but because the fucking end trim is hitting the board incorrectly, and it's ripping the banding off. The glue pot works just fucking fine. It's the end trim that's the problem. Or let's say the pressure zone, which is supposed to push the banding onto the board so that when the glue dries, it dries in such a way where it's nice and flush. Maybe it's pushing too hard. And because it's pushing too hard, it pushes the board out of position. And now that the board's out of position, the end trim won't work correctly. And it's like, well, the end trim looks fucked up and the glue doesn't look like it's holding, so it must be this problem and this. No, the only problem is the fucking pressure zone needs to be pulled back, and it needs to not push so hard. So it's like there's all these little bitty things that can all break because just one thing broke. And then because that one thing broke and these other things are now starting to do weird things, now the person's adjusting these stations and fucking them all up because
Right.
he thinks those are the problem, but they're not.
Oh, that's the
And he
worst.
may make it work. But then what happens when I come in and I fix one problem? Now, because I fixed that one problem in a way that none of the other stations were used to, now they're all out of alignment, and now I have to fix every fucking station.
Yeah.
So that was the problem. I have this machine, and the problem was the glue pot's not working. It's not gluing properly, and because it's not gluing properly, the banding just won't stick to the board. But the problem was not the glue pot. The problem was like 50 other fucking things. And the glue pot was just the most obvious thing that was fucking up because of it. So when I fixed the glue pot, all of these other problems suddenly reared their ugly head. And now I have to fix each one of these individually. And so, yeah, that's how a single day job becomes a 3-day job.
I know this pain so specifically because I work in, dealing with people that don't know how to take care of what they're supposed to. But the basic idea of like, hey, it's hot in my space, so I turned the AC down. No. Don't turn the AC down, because the reason why your space is hot is because you have the windows open. And it's like, well, I opened the windows because it was hot in my space. No. It's hotter outside than it is inside. Well, no. It's just like, if you turn the AC down, it's not going to get colder. You're going to make it overwork itself. It's going to break. It's going to leak coolant, freeze over, and then we're going to have to turn it off and wait for it to melt before we can even get to fixing it, before we can get it back to normal. And at that point, it's been several days, and yes, we know it's hot in here, and we can't do anything about it. Actually, the problem is that now that we're in winter, we don't have people complaining that it's too hot. We have people complaining that it's too cold. And so what people are thinking, since I can't go out and mess with the heater and turn up the heat in the building, I'm just going to plug in 5 space heaters. And if everyone does that and plugs it into the same wall, even though, you're in different rooms, outlets are connected through the walls, people will trip the breakers and they're like, it's hot in here, it's cold in here, I don't have power in here, I can't see anything, the lights are off. And it's just like, why were you messing with stuff, and why didn't you just tell us to begin with?
Yeah.
But it's never like, if someone calls up the technician and says, I know what the problem is, they do not know what the problem is. Do not ever assume that they know what the problem is. Most likely, it's because they've either looked up something, or they've just made an arbitrary guess of like, this must be what it is. I'm smarter than you. This belongs to me. I know exactly how it works. Let me tell you what the problem is. This plunger here is it's too wet. It's leaking. It's getting some sort of liquid onto my boards. Well, it's not actually a leak in the plunger. It's a leak in the pallets and the outside location that you're stacking all of this wood that is getting wet. It has absolutely nothing to do with the machinery.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, people.
Yeah, I know exactly.
More often than not, problems arise because people misrepresent the issue or the problem, or like self-diagnostics, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, a better example for your situation would probably be a car than an actual kitchen, because basically someone says my tires aren't like turning when I want them to. Well, is the problem with the gearbox, the actual power steering? Is it the fact that there hasn't been an oil change in it since they bought it 5 years ago, and they're still alive somehow?
Yeah.
Because there are so many stories of people like bringing in their cars and being like, hey, I need you to change my oil. And then like while they're changing the oil, they realize that they can't even pull the oil out because it's a solid brick. And they're like, hey, we're going to have to do a bunch of work on your car, and it's going to cost $1,500. And they're like, I can't afford that. Please don't do any of that. Give me my car back.
Yep.
And it's just like, at what point can the shop just like not allow them to take their car off the lot because it is a hazard to themselves and the public right away?
None. They need to take it off the lot and crash it.
Yeah.
Because liability. I know what you mean, though. It can be tough sometimes. But
I mean,
yeah.
that's really the annoying thing, is that we're really only paid to do our job, and
Yeah.
we can't tell people how to not ruin their stuff.
Yeah. And the other problem is you have to deal with the fact that there's enough shady pieces of shit out there who will use and abuse people for every cent that they own that has basically taught people never to trust. And those kind of people have ruined it for many others. It's like a person, you might tell a person, look, I can't change your oil. There's no oil in the machine. You need like replace these gaskets because you've been running it with no oil and you fucked up the gaskets. And the person might be like, well, I'm not paying for that, so just put the oil in and give me my car back. It's like, but you just, and it's like they may not listen to you because maybe, let's say, somebody else said, hey, you don't need an oil change, you need all these gaskets replaced, when in reality, they just needed an oil change. And then they spent like $500 on what should have been like a $50 job. And
Right.
now they don't trust anything anybody says about oil changes because, oh, well, I was lied to before. This guy's probably lying to me now, too. And it's like, no, you just really fucked your car up. I'm not lying to you. But because one person lied to them and fucked them, now they don't trust anybody. And so I can understand people being like, no, don't do any of those things. Give me my car back. Because it's like, it's hard to know who's actually telling the truth and who's actually lying to you. Because so many people are willing to lie to you.
Yeah.
I got a perfect example of that. I had an issue with my car where something had happened with my oil filter. I don't remember what it was, but my car was registering that I had oil when I checked the dipstick, but there wasn't actually any oil in the engine. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it was registering I had oil when I did it. Like, there must have been, like, some small little pocket of oil that I kept dipping the fucking stick into, and somehow it kept hitting that pocket, and it kept saying, no, you're full. But there was no oil in the car. I don't know what happened. But apparently something was wrong with the filter. The oil slowly leaked out, and for whatever reason, I was still registering every time I checked the dipstick that there was oil there. And I wasn't quite at the point where I needed to get my oil change. I think I was like 500 miles away from my next oil change, so I was just going to wait until I got to that point, because nothing seemed wrong. Like, everything seemed just fine. I checked my oil every once in a while just to make sure I had no leak, like I always do. And then all of a sudden, one day, my car just starts sounding really, really loud, and then it just stalls.
Mm-hmm.
To pull over to the side of the road because it stalled, and it would start back up. And I all of a sudden noticed that I started seeing steam coming from the under the hood. So I just shut off the car, waited a moment, popped the hood, and I see steam coming from the engine. And it turned out that because there was no oil, it overheated, and I damaged the manifold.
Ugh.
So I had to get the car towed to a shop. The shop basically said that they had to rebuild the engine because one or two of the pistons had seized. So basically, I had to do a complete rebuild. Whole engine had to be rebuilt. Thankfully, I've used this one company called Snap Finance. They're one of those companies that like to completely fuck you over by giving you really, really big loans that end up costing you twice as much at the end. But the thing about this company is that if you pay the loan off within 100 days, you pay zero interest. So if you happen to be somebody like me who makes a reasonable enough kind of money that you can pay off a $3,000 loan within 100 days, then it's perfect. because I can get the loan right then and there, and then I can just pay it off over the course of 3 months instead of right then and there all at once. So I used them, and I went to the only shop that was in the area that was willing to use Snap, because not everyone uses it, because it's so predatory. A lot of places don't like to. And I was able to find a place that uses it, and they said that they can get my engine rebuilt for me. They said that they could get me a brand new one, which would be like $4,000 to $5,000, or they could get me a rebuild. They can get me a used one that they could then use for the rebuild. And the used one would have only been about like $3,000, and it would have been what was technically a refurbished used engine, which means it's rated by the actual dealership as being good to go like new, but it was used. So anyway, they found one. They apparently rebuilt the engine, and everything was good to go. Well, started driving the car, realized that the sound was quieter, but it still had a sound. A lot of sounds, in fact, none of which it originally had. And so something was still wrong with my car. They fucked it up somehow, or they fucked the repair up somehow, and I was pissed off. And right before I could take the car back to the place to get it repaired, I found out that they closed. Turns out that they closed their shop, and they apparently do this every 6 months or so that they could rebrand, rename the place, and sell it to someone else. So it's a different company, allowing them to completely dissolve all previous liabilities that they had. Meaning they fucked me and then got rid of the company so that they didn't have to pay me back. Shortly after I found out about this, some asshole hit my car in a parking lot.
Ugh.
Right in the front. Right where the engine was. Everything got rebuilt free.
Oh, okay.
Basically, they said, yeah, when that person hit your car, it turns out that it damaged the engine, and we had to replace all of your gaskets and everything. One of your gaskets was really fucked up. I was like, oh, really? They hit me so hard that they fucked the gasket up. Turns out that the place when they rebuilt the engine, they didn't use the correct gasket. They used the wrong gasket.
Wow.
And that's why the car was having problems, because it was using the wrong gasket, so it wasn't sealed properly. The whole fucking engine was exposed. Thankfully, the person that hit my car hit the engine mount, which meant that they assumed all of the engine problems were from the accident, and they got me a new engine.
Yep. Honestly, it's probably just easier to do that than to, like, go picking through and be like, no, I think only a collision would cause this sort of damage here.
Yeah.
This is clearly a corroded, tube from age, and I'm not paying. Yeah, it's just, you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. Thankfully, I ended up getting the entire engine and the whole front end replaced. And because the previous company had fucked me, Snap Finance basically said, you know what we'll do is we'll completely remove the interest for your loan, because you did still get a repair done. The repair still costs a certain amount, and we still have to pay back that amount. But since you got fucked over, the least we can do is just remove all of the interest. And it turned out I was really only one payment away from paying off the original amount anyway, so it basically cut my loan by like a year. Which is nice, because the whole engine ended up getting replaced regardless because of the accident. So I still had to pay $3,000 for a repair that did nothing, but thank God I didn't have to pay $6,000 for a repair that did nothing.
Yeah.
And thank God the accident ended up paying for it all anyway. So, but yeah, so no, I know exactly how bullshit some places can be. I've been fucked by actual garages, and it's like, I know how to do car repairs. I know how to fix things on my car. I can't fix an engine. So it's like there's nothing I can really do about that. If I need engine repairs, I have to take it to a garage. There's nothing I can do about that. If I've got like a broken door, I can probably fix that on my own. If I've got a broken side view mirror, I can fix that on my own. If I need to do an oil change and I don't want to pay for it, I can technically do the oil change on my own. But it's like certain things I just can't do on my own. And most things I won't do on my own simply because time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to do my own oil change. I don't fucking have time for that. I'm just going to go to a quick place and have them do it real fast.
See, that's one of those things where you're like, oh, I'm gonna save so much money. I'm just gonna buy all this stuff so that I can do it myself and spend my own time that I could be using instead to be making money to be doing this, when I could instead be paying a professional to do it much faster, much quicker, much safer, much more, correct, and with better tools and equipment. Like, that's the whole reason for having a professional to do it.
And more importantly, it only costs like $5 or $10 more. Like, when it comes to something like a door, I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars for a technician to fix something like a door handle. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy it myself and I'm going to do it myself, because that's hundreds of dollars there. When it comes to an oil change, I'm not going to fucking save $5 or $10 by doing it myself. And especially when my company pays for oil changes, I'm just going to fucking go and let somebody else do it. Yeah. Thank fucking God my company pays for oil changes.
Mm.
That's one of the nice things about my company. They pay for oil changes, they pay for tires, and they give me a stipend every single first of the month that is technically supposed to go towards car repairs. It never does, obviously, but it's supposed to.
Yeah, so what are the benefits at working at this company? We don't have dental, but we do offer free oil changes.
Actually, I do have dental.
Oh, okay.
I don't use it, but I do have dental. I have dental, I have vision, I have... my company has a lot of really, really good benefits. Granted, I'm not using them like I should, probably because I'm just so used to not having them that I never use them. I have medical, dental, vision. Obviously, I'm paying for all of it, though. It's a health savings account, so I technically have a health savings account that has a certain amount of money on it that I can use for anything health-related. I also have I have a car maintenance stipend per month. I have all oil changes free, all tires free, all $250 every single week given to me as a food stipend for travel, and all travel expenses, including toll roads, paid for. So, I mean, I have a shit ton of benefits. I just don't use most of them. Like the $250 stipend, I get that every single week no matter what, so that obviously I use. The tires and oil, obviously I use that. The car maintenance stipend is basically about $500 every single month, and that just basically is part of my paycheck, so I don't even use that for the car. I just count that as paycheck. Probably should not be counting it as paycheck, but I do. Travel and shit, obviously, I don't have to worry about that. I can technically use the toll roads in California and not have to pay for them, but I don't. I don't actually mind having to drive an extra half an hour. So, yeah. My job's got a shit ton of benefits, and they're really nice. I think the only problem is the medical. I don't actually use any of my medical because it's that type of medical plan where they're like, hey, you can use any doctor you want. You don't have to stick to a single doctor. You can use all of the doctors. It's like, wow, that's a really great idea. That's a great plan. I'll take that plan. Awesome. Here's a list of 5,000 doctors. Go find them. What? Yeah, here's your list. But who does which? I don't fucking know. Go find one, bitch. It's like, what? And I don't know who the fuck does what. So it's like, I can't even use my medical because I don't even fucking know who would actually give me the service that I actually need done. And it's so fucking annoying. And it's like, I could call every single fucking doctor on that list and find the correct doctor for exactly what I need, but that would require me not being lazy. And I already have too much on my plate to not be lazy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Great
have
medical,
anything like
just
that
never
with
use it.
my business, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
One of these
the
days I
whole
really
thing about
will.
having stuff like that is to maintain a level of professionalism, I guess, for the most part. But like with your job, it actually is important that you have like good eyesight and, you know, good teeth because you're, you know, interacting with people.
Yep.
In some places, they actually cover feet care and whatnot because, you know, some people can do that, I suppose. I think it actually does make sense for sort of like your job too, where you're, you know, walking around all day. I think that is important. But then, of course, people just spend all that just to get mani-pedis. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's like, for instance, I'm pretty sure my health savings account, the way it works is I think I get a specific amount from my employer every single month, and then I can put a specific amount into it every single month. And basically what I put into it plus what my employer gives me is basically my health savings account. And I use that for health-related purchases only. But most importantly is that I can also use these to pay off my deductible, which means that really, really fucking shitty $2,000 deductible that I have to pay off before any fucking thing in my health insurance is actually covered, all of that can be paid off using the health savings account that I slowly put a teeny bit of money into every month. So I have that, and I can technically turn around and use that for things other than my deductible. Like, let's say I get I have the common cold, or I have the flu, or I have COVID, and I want medication so that I don't fucking hate my life for the next 10 days. I can technically just go to like a Walgreens and use my health savings account to pay for the medicine because the medicine is considered a health purchase, and therefore it can be used. You can use the cards. So I mean, I can do shit like that, but I never do. I probably should. Yeah. Mostly I've just been letting the money in my health savings account build up so that one day, once I finally choose to actually use my health insurance and actually see a doctor and actually find out all of the fucked up things that are wrong with me, I can immediately pay off the full deductible and then everything's paid for free. And then I'll just go see the doctor a shit ton of times in 1 month or in 1 year. Which is kind of what I need to do this year. Yeah. Fun. I've now run out of things to talk about.
Oh, okay.
How about you?
Well, we're only about half an hour in here. I was gonna see if Freddie wanted to join in.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Should I just add him to this call, or do you want to move to the group chat?
I don't mind. Either or.
I'll just add Freddie because it's easier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care how it works.
Yeah. Well, this way you don't have to, like, because this way it auto dials you and you don't have to, you know, do a whole lot of, like, recalling and everything. Hello, Freddie. Welcome in.
Yeah, whatever.
Alright. That's it. You're out of here, Freddie.
Well, okay.
Get back on the couch.
Yes, we can hear you, Alvin the fucking chipmunk.
Freddie, did you have anything that happened this week that you want to talk about?
Let's see.
All right, while you're thinking about it, I have something that I want to get into because, like I've said, we have this problem with tenants being like, oh, I'm not going to let you know if, like, it's too hot or too cold into my space unless you come specifically knocking on my door being like, hey, we're checking to see if it's too hot or cold in your space. And be like, oh, you know what? Now that you mention it, it's been way too hot in my space for, like, over a month now. I'm like, why didn't you say anything about it? It's like, oh, I didn't think it was really much of an issue, but it currently was an issue. And they were complaining to all the other tenants, but they didn't want to send us an email or text or a phone call or anything to let us know that anything was going on. So now that we're just taking care of it, like, oh wow, this has been a problem that's been happening for like a month now. Why do people do this every freaking time?
Yep, that's my sister. She does exactly that.
There are people that whenever I check in on them, there is always something wrong. And I will say, you know what? I do not have the time for this at the moment. Or I'll say something like, this is above my pay grade. This would be important information to inform the building owner or instruct the manager. You know, send us a text, an email, something, please, for the love of God, so that we can get it actual writing and formalities and make sure that it gets put into the schedule and it gets marked down and it gets taken care of. And they're like, okay, yep. Sure, absolutely nothing. And so we won't hear something from someone basically until the next time that we check in on them, which might be the next day, the next week, the next month. You know, it just an paramount amount of time goes by, and we come by again and are like, oh, here's this doorstop for your door because I noticed that your doorstop was broken. Like, oh wow, I didn't even mean that. Or like, maybe we're scheduled to like come in and like put in, you know, a mount on the wall for the, excuse me, and they're like, oh, okay, thank you. Oh, by the way, while you're here, could you mind checking the door because it's a little bit squeaky? And they're like, all right, yeah, we could probably check that real quick. And they're like, oh, and while you're here, do you think we could get any more shelving units installed in here? And like, well, that might be something that we'll sort of have to get a look at. But do you mind taking the measurements while you're here? Yeah, well, we could probably take the measurements, but and like, oh, and by the way, I've been meaning to talk to the building owner about something. I want to put up a sign. You know, I want to take out this wall. I want to punch through this glass in the hall and just like install just like a doorway for my business that I'm now like serving drugs out of this. And it's like, oh, I thought you were just selling candles. No, I'm selling drugs now too. And it's just like, why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me this? The guy that literally scrubs poop off the floor. Why are you telling me this? And also, why are you telling me this now? If you had given me information beforehand, I could have arrived with your shelves. I could have arrived with, you know, all this stuff that you want. You just expect me to magically show up with. Also, hi Telgar, you still there?
You alive, buddy?
Telgar? Did I get too heated?
I think
he got too upset and had to leave.
He got erased.
He's like, you know what? I feel offended. You're being too toxic right now. I relate to this way too much. Oh, you know what? He might be trying to connect his Bluetooth thing because he was on like he might be on his phone or something. So he might be trying to reconnect.
I see.
But yeah, this is like an ongoing thing that I'm constantly struggling with, that Telgar kind of touched on, the point of like people not knowing what's going on and basically saying like, I think this is the situation, or this is the problem. I want you to take care of this. And then it's like, no, when you say something like, "Hey, the heater's too cold," what they actually mean is like my space in this corner of the office when I'm doing my work, where I take off my jacket and my gloves and I sit at the keyboard without moving, and there's nobody else in this office of a 10 by 10 space. It gets cold right here in this corner that's away from all of the vents and everything. Can we raise up the temperature 10 degrees so that everyone else's office and all their spaces and the hallways gets 10 degrees hotter, so that I can feel a couple more degrees of heat? And we have to be like, we could do that, or what we could do is adjust the timer on when spaces get heated. We might be able to get a fan here, or change like the system around or whatnot. And there was this one point where we actually like moved the because someone had like this big space, and they moved their desk to one side of the room, and they were sitting there. We actually moved the vent that comes down in through the ceiling, because it's just a drop ceiling, which I don't know if you guys know what a drop ceiling is, but it's basically like a bunch of metal bars in a grid formation, and then you get those ceiling tiles, and you just sort of drop them in. And that's mostly like what a lot of old buildings look like with their ceilings. If you see like schools and whatnot, like when you would throw your pencils up and get stuck in the ceiling. Yeah. That's a drop tile ceiling. The reason why those are great is because light fixtures can sometimes take up just one of those squares, or two of those squares if it's a rectangle. So you just sort of pull out one piece. But then also a lot of like ventilation and whatnot just sort of fits into those squares and whatnot. And it's just sort of like this system that's a little bit universal, because it's like a crawl space above the ceiling, in between like this drop down ceiling and the next floor. There's basically a crawl space where there is just like a whole bunch of like ducting, and you put your wiring. You probably wouldn't put any plumbing. You'd want to put your plumbing in the wall. But like people that run conduit and network cable, that all that junk basically just goes up in there. Anyway, we decide to like pop up one of these ceiling tiles and move the vent so that it comes down in a different part of the room, which sounds like it's not that big of a deal until you realize that when I describe that track as like a crawl space, it cannot support the weight of a human. In order to support a vent and a light fixture, you actually have to get additional support that comes down and supports it in place, because that track cannot simply support the thing by itself. So, and also maneuvering it back over there is quite difficult to do, because you basically have to pull out all the tiles and just sort of like reach up through there and move it over, because again, there's no way to get like in that sort of like space above the ceiling. You can't crawl around in there. But we moved it. And then they decided to change the layout of the room like a week later. And they're like, oh, we didn't like our desk there. Do you think we can move the vent again? And they moved their vent to the complete opposite side of the room, where the vent will absolutely not reach. That is just beyond its scope of like where it would be able to get to. So it's just like, who are you? Like, excuse, why are you like this? At what point did you think?
Strangulation.
Basically. Strangulation.
Yes.
Jeez. But yeah, do you have
This is
anything?
why I hate people.
Yes. Oh, I saw a really great a video today. Um, Basically, it was them. I think it might have been like a TikTok or something else, but I saw it on YouTube. Uh, and it basically has the text on the screen that says, why are you still single?" And then it's like them going into a rant about like all the different like one word sentences that they wish they would use to respond. And I'm like, I don't think I'm ugly, but compared to all the other men in the room, well, you're stuck with me. Um, but another a great one that they said is that dating is like fishing. It's really boring and I hate it.
I mean, it's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I got text. My old manager texted me.
Oh, did she want you back? She's like, "Oh, you were such a good employee. Why did you leave? You were such a
It's
diligent
something.
person and did such a good job and didn't, cause problems or raise any questions. Like, why did you leave? Why did you not stay with this, like, terribly paid job with no, actual good usage?"
No, that's what pissed me. That's what pisses me off is that I used to work at McDonald's while going to high school at the same time, so I had experience at that McDonald's, but they still choose to only pay me fucking $9 a fucking hour.
Yeah, that's not okay.
So she texted me like, "Hey, whenever you want to come back, just contact me." I was like,
Excuse me?
exactly.
No.
Like,
Mixcuse me?
Bro, I'm gonna strangle you. I'm gonna again.
No, that's what you need to say to her.
So, okay, sure.
Mixcuse me?
I said, "Excuse me." I found a better paying job that recognizes my skills and they don't treat me like absolute shit. Because one, I've made a lot of friends, mainly adults to elderly people in the McDonald's drive-thru, and they've been asking for me, and and everyone keeps saying, "Oh, he's gone, he left," and then of course the customers want me back, but I'm not gonna go back to that shitty ass paying job.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that if you're not there, that means that they're less likely to come back. So they know that you are an asset to their job and their business. And they're like, Freddy, please, come back. And you have to do the Spider-Man from the Spider-Verse thing where you place a hand on their shoulder and you say, "McBitch, your Your McBay check was not bussin'."
Get away from me, you fucking McDot.
You McDot. "Silence, wench. I do not wish to be poor any longer."
No. Fuck! I forgot what I was gonna say because you made that fucking joke. What was I gonna say now?
"I am the thought that is approaching."
It'll come back to me soon.
You left the job. People were asking about you. You didn't want to go back, but people wanted to know where you were. And I said that you were an asset to their company because I think I cut in on you saying something.
Okay, yeah. Because the main reason why they want me back, because first of all, I'm a fast speaker. I do things fast, and then a lot of people
This is
like
what?
listen here, Sparrow. You might be my friend, but I will strangle you.
What?
In a cute way.
Oh. Well. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Okay. God damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say again. Right. The main reason why they put me in drive-through for like order taking is because I do voice acting for a side hobby. So whenever someone pulls up to a drive-through, I don't use my regular voice. I go like, "Thank you for choosing McDonald's. Will you be using our mobile app today?"
Ooh, do you want to buy our special order?
Ooh, would you like to order a Big Mac with a large Coke and large fry?
I'm sorry for people in chat that have to listen to this.
And then like people go like, can I get a McFlurry? I'm sorry, the Covenant came in and attacked our ice cream machine. Ice cream supplies are dwindling. We may not last much longer.
You see, our ice cream machine was a mimic. It is unoperable.
Yeah, whenever they pull into the drive-through, they'll be like, "Yes, hello," and you're like, "Yes, hello. How can I take your order? Wait, please, roll initiative."
Please.
Before you can take your order, roll initiative. Your order will be taken and ordered based upon what order and initiative you are. Freddy, please, I beg you to run a campaign or one-shot where you are the person running this tavern and we're all a bunch of people trying to get our order.
Maybe. You know what? Yeah, I'll see if anyone's interested.
That'd be fun. Oh, also, didn't you say that you were going to run a game today?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure everyone's busy. Tori's not online. Sadly.
Well, did you message anyone to plan for the date today?
No.
Well, there you go.
Either way, we're going off topic.
Oh, sure.
I wish I could prove my PNG to you just right in front of you, like. Oh, hi! Welcome back.
Hey!
Hey!
I just had to get out of the shitty fucking valley I was in.
Gotcha.
No, listen to you, shit.
Yeah.
You may be a bird.
So what are all those wonderful things that I missed?
Freddie was telling me about how he got quit. He quit his job at McDonald's, and now they want him back because he was a competent person that was very friendly and had a lot of people asking for him.
So basically what you do is you ask for a shit ton more pay, and then you go back and you get a huge freaking raise.
You know, that's the funny thing. They're not going to give anyone a raise, even if we ask.
Oh, well then they're fucked.
Because one, I've been I reapplied at the McDonald's sometime beginning of last year, and then I just got fed up.
Yeah. I mean, if they really want you back, and everybody keeps asking for you, and you were like competent and you did the job well, they don't want some piece of shit, then they should be willing to give you a raise.
That's the other thing. A lot of customers like ask for the manager and say, "Hey, you got to give this guy a raise," and They've been saying that for months. Still
Yeah.
only paying me $9 an hour.
Yeah. Yep. Oh well, sucks for them.
So, firstly, I'm gonna completely leave the fast food industries, and I'm gonna try to apply somewhere else. Maybe in retail. Because they probably pay more than what freaking McDonald's pays me.
It depends on where you go, but yeah.
Oh, so are you an expert in what things cost now? Is that what you're saying?
Listen, listen, I'm an engineer / inventor for a reason.
Oh, hush. Only in fiction.
Listen, I graduated high school, okay?
Wow.
I did that too.
What an achievement.
And I don't have enough money to go to college.
I graduated from high school, never finished college. 25 to 30 an hour I'm making.
Okay. Oh, so here's actually a really good thing. Is minimum wage a living wage?
Hell no.
Freddie, what do you think?
Give me a second. Let me check something.
Okay.
Ah!
All right. Well, Freddie's dead. Minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage. Minimum wage is basically stating that if you hire someone to do a job, if you get someone to do some work for you, you can't make them do it for free. Basically instigating that there is no longer slavery. So you are required by law to pay people if you do employ their services. Now, people can still, do stuff of their own free will. People can do gifts and whatnot. There's not really like a gray area with this. This is basically stating that if you are going to be employed, and there are only certain things that you are allowed to do if you are employed, and you go under like certain jurisdictions and whatnot, and basically just like you can only do certain types of physical labor and stuff if you are actually covered with stuff of like I don't even know the word I'm trying to get to, but I'm not getting there, so I'm just gonna move on. But basically the point is that minimum wage was never meant to be like the amount of money that people can get at like a started job that they can live off of. This was the amount of money that you would pay your neighbor's kid to mow your lawn or whatnot. So the fact that like businesses are employing it as like, this is the least amount that I am legally required to pay you, is just the scummiest thing possible. You should, as a business, you should be paying your employees more than that. And the fact that they're like, well, this is what I can get away with, so I'm going to make it, and there are people desperate enough that will do this job.
Yeah. So here's the problem. Minimum wage is basically minimum wage exists so that mom and pop card shop can say, I'm going to employ my son to help out, but I have to pay my son a wage because he's an employee. I'll pay him minimum wage. Or like minimum wage is a way for like a really small yard working company that has only like 3 employees, and like you said, they just do yard work. It's like, this is the minimum that I can get away with paying these guys to just do some really basic labor. And usually minimum wage is supposed to be for families, family companies, small mom and pop companies, places that only have like 2, 3, 4, 5 employees. Places where you literally can barely fucking function paying people the minimum wage.
Right.
McDonald's is not supposed to be fucking doing that.
It's the step above the corner lemonade stand.
Pay more. Yeah. That was the point of minimum wage. And you're right. That was never supposed to be a living wage because that was never supposed to be a wage that corporations pay. Corporations should be paying way above and beyond minimum wage because they are corporations and they can afford it. But here's the problem. People will always choose the bare minimum that they can get away with because by doing the bare minimum, they get more profit. And in our country, profit is the only thing that matters. And so it just goes back to the whole fact that minimum wage would be a perfectly living wage if it wasn't for the fact that people are trying to abuse rent. The fact that people will charge as much as possible for rent because they know people have to pay for it in order to live.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that if we raise minimum wage so that we pay our employees enough that they can live off of it, you know what else is going to cost more? Everything.
Actually, you're wrong. That's actually a massive fallacy that a lot of people think and they believe in, and it's complete bullshit.
No, Freddie, sit your ass down. You're staying.
I'm gonna butt in real quick.
Yeah.
So, you want to know what pisses me off even more? So,
What?
right before I left McDonald's, I found out that they're paying new hires more than what I was getting paid.
Yeah, because they're forced to.
Like, that's total and utter bullshit, honestly.
Yeah, that's normal. If you started before a pay increase, you will be given a raise up to that forced pay increase. So you'll be given a raise, but you're still at the minimum wage. Whereas new people will be hired at higher than that minimum wage because there's no way they can hire somebody at the minimum wage. So when you stay at a company for a long period of time, you're more often than not fucked out of wages because of it. For this very reason. And it's standard practice for a lot of these places. And so anyway, like I was saying though, it's complete bullshit that prices will rise in conjunction with a rising cost of minimum wage. And you know why that is? Think about this. When minimum wages across the board went up, how much did everything else rise in price to keep up with it? Very little. When California went from $9 to $10 to $15 an hour minimum wage, the only thing that went up in price is food by a very small amount. Like, I pay $1 more for a burger. $1 more a burger. But I'm paying like maybe $5 more when I go out and I eat. But that $5 increase for me to go out and eat once paid for a single person to get a $5 increase per hour. So I pay like maybe $5 more for food, but that person is getting $50 an hour more as a paycheck per day. That $5 increase in that food does not equate the $50 increase in wage increase. And that's the problem. A lot of people think that if you raise the minimum wage, that everything will go up in price to equal it. No, it won't. That's stupid to think that.
No, because it's spread out across 20 people having to spend $5 more.
Well, yes, it's spread out amongst 20 people having to spend $5 more. And in the end, those 20 people spending $5 more will spend less in total over the course of an entire month than the person whose pay increase has increased more than that amount.
I'm just saying in general, as prices go up, everything else goes up. Like, it's not just like something that happens all at once. It's a slow progression, inflation, all that nonsense.
Here's the problem. The increase in cost is smaller than the increase in wages. And so that's the problem. The whole concept of if you increase wages, you increase costs, only actually affects the wealthy. And they're the ones that are basically saying, no, prices will go up. Yeah, for you and you only, because you already make so much more money that an increase in wage will not affect your wages. But for everybody who can't survive off current wages, the increase they get is above and beyond the increase in cost, which means they get more money in their pocket in the long run. The only reason why increases in wages have not helped people is because of rent manipulation.
So you're saying that I'm too poor to understand the real issue?
No, I'm not saying you're too poor to understand the real issue. What I'm saying is you're doing the exact same thing everybody else does, which is you're believing a lie. And you don't know why you're believing the lie. The problem is that everyone who believes that increases in wages increases costs in the exact same amount has never actually paid attention to how much they spend on things before and how much they spend on things after. I can tell you right now that what I spend right now on things is not that much higher than what I spent on things 5 years ago when wages were way lower. It's not that much of an increase. The only thing that has increased is three things. Gas has increased, but the thing is, gas has nothing to do with wages. Gas has to do with oil. So you can't actually correlate that. But people are thinking the increase in gas is probably due to things like wages. The second thing that has increased is food. And food has actually, in fact, increased based upon wages because wages does affect food prices. But I spend less on food in correlation to the amount of money people are now making in wages. My food is probably only increased by like maybe $50 to $100 a month, but the increase in wages has been way higher than $50 to $100 for the people at the lowest bracket. So the increase in food doesn't correspond to the increase in wages as much. Other things that have increased in price. Electronics have not increased in price. They're continuing to get cheaper because they have nothing to do with wages. They have to do with resources. Now, something that is increasing in price, phones. But phones are increasing in price because phones are becoming stronger and more powerful.
They're increasing in value because they are more valuable.
Yeah. Exactly. So that has nothing to do with wages. That has to do with the value of the actual product. Cars
not value
are not increasing in. They're increasing in cost because they're more valuable. And the value has to do with what they're capable of
quality.
doing.
They're increasing in quality, basically.
They're increasing in cost because of quality, not because of wages.
Right.
So the only thing you can correspond the wage increase to is really food and housing. And the reason why you can correspond it to housing is that the more money people have, the more rent is going to go up because people know you can pay.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. That's a problem of an abuse of the system.
Right.
Not a problem of wages have gone up, so now I have to raise my rent. You don't have to raise rent because wages have gone up. You increase rent because you know you can because wages go up. Yeah. That's an abuse of the system that the government should step in to take care of, but refuses to.
Right.
Because what do people in the government make money off of? Real estate. So they're not going to step in and change it.
I'm watching you, David.
So
what?
The only thing that goes up in cost when you increase wages is food and rent. And that's the reason why I hate it when people say, if you raise wages, you'll raise costs. No, you won't. The only thing that'll go up is rent and food. And in most places, rent can only go up so high because the whole state has low wage people. Like California is an exception because California is full of a bunch of rich motherfuckers. So when wages
Well, I mean,
go
that's
up,
what
they
I
know
mean,
they
that,
can
like,
raise
when you increase the amount that people are forced to allow to pay their employees, everyone else is going to start charging more because they know that people have more money. That's
but
what
that's the
I mean.
problem. That's not the case. It's only the case in two sectors of our country. Every other sector could care less about wages because their actual costs are related to a resource. Gas is the number one thing that we pay for, other than food, housing, and utility. Gas is like the fourth most important thing that we pay for every single day. Gas doesn't ever go up in price based off wages because gas's costs all have to do with the markets and oil. And utilities don't go up in cost when wages go up because utilities are more worried about the actual resource that makes the utility. When that resource goes up in cost, then the utility goes up. So you may pay a little bit more for electricity because of wage increase, but everyone uses that electricity. So it's so spread out that it's a very, very minor cost increase. It's really only food and housing. Those are really the only things that actually go up in cost.
Okay.
So it's like it's kind of true, but you have to look at the big picture to realize that it's really only kind of true. Increasing wages completely and fully benefits everyone. And it's never a detrimental thing.
So because Freddy's getting paid more now, I should make him pay me more because I know that he has money to spend now.
Well, if you owned a house, you probably would do that because that's what everyone does.
But I live by myself. I got rent to pay. I gotta pay my water bill and the utility bill.
Well, yeah. That's why
Not to
when
mention my phone bill.
Well, yeah, that's why when your wages go up, it's more beneficial to you because it means that you can pay all those things off much easier.
So everyone should just get paid more, is what we've learned. We should just take money from somewhere and give it to everybody.
Well, no, we shouldn't take it from somewhere. There's a very specific place we should be taking it from.
Rich
the
people?
goddamn corporations that are always making record profits every year. That's the whole problem with our system. Our whole economy is based upon capitalism. And it's not just simply capitalism, but market-based capitalism, which means if your company isn't making a record profit every year, your company is doomed. And you should be bankrupt and you should be run out of business. And that is a really fucking stupid concept because you can't always make profit. Eventually, you will stop making record profit.
I don't remember who said this, but I did hear this somewhere that basically someone said, once someone makes $1 million, we should give them a mansion, a Ferrari, and then cap them at how much more money they can make, and basically a award that says, congratulations, you've won capitalism, but not allow them to make any more money.
I don't necessarily like there should be a cap on how much a company can make or a person can make. Or, I don't know. I feel like there's definitely a problem with wealth being infinitely generatable by some people. Like there's definitely certain people that work for certain companies that make such an amount of money that it's really just stupid money. And it shouldn't be something that people can do. Like, a perfect example is there should be no fucking reason in hell why somebody like Jeff Bezos, just because he has a company that is really, really successful and does really great things, giving people the ability to buy anything from anywhere at any time. Just because he created a company that does that doesn't fucking mean that he should be worth $1 trillion and be able to buy a yacht that is literally a small country. There's no reason any normal citizen should have a yacht the size of a fucking country. That is stupid and unnecessary. And yet he has that because he can. But the problem, though, is that if you cap people on how much they can make, and if you cap people on what they're capable of, then what's to stop them from trying harder? That's kind of the problem with the idea of capping people. Once you cap somebody, the motivation is gone. And I mean, I'm not saying that, like, I don't really know how to really work with that. Like, if you cap somebody and they basically have zero motivation to do better, then what's to stop them from not trying any harder? And if people don't try any harder because they've been capped off, then what's to stop people from creating things that are like so fucking amazing, so fucking immense, so fucking powerful that they're worth more money than the cap? I don't know.
Yeah, I know that this is something that you care about, so I didn't want to cut in, but I also don't really have anything to
Oh, no, it's
say.
okay. Yeah.
The real question is, who is David?
Who is
Who's
that
what?
man?
Who is that beautiful
Who
man?
is John Galt?
Oh my god.
Shout out to David.
I hated that shit so much. No, fuck that. Who is John Galt bullshit? Fucking Atlas Shrugged was one of the fucking biggest disappointments of my life.
Yeah, it's literally just a nothing.
It is. It's a fucking nothing. Oh my god.
It's like the only interesting thing to come from Atlas Shrugged, and literally going through Atlas Shrugged, you don't learn anything about it. Literally, the whole thing behind John Galt is that nobody is John Galt. John Galt is just a concept, and it's supposed to make the sheeple. It's supposed to separate the sheeple from the people who actually think, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. It's something stupid like that.
The whole concept of John Galt, if I'm correct, was basically supposed to be John Galt isn't a person, it's an ideal. And anybody can basically fill that ideal if they just try hard enough. And that was basically I think that was the whole concept. It's like there wasn't necessarily one specific man who was John Galt. It was just every single person could be the John Galt of their movement if they just tried hard enough.
Asgard isn't a place, it's a people.
Yeah, and it's like, no, bitch, it's a place. It is pretty much a place. There's an entire...
But
there's an
Asgard
religion
is
based
a
on it.
place, but home is where the heart is. You can make Asgard again. You can make new Asgard. But, like, Asgard is a place, and that's what makes these people Asgardians, but these people can also go somewhere else, and, you know, someone else that's not even Asgardians can make an Asgard. You know, it's a stupid thing.
True. The problem, though, is that Asgard is not just simply a place. It is also a concept. A concept in the sense that Asgard had certain things that were specific to Asgard. And now, and if Asgard is destroyed, those things are lost. And a new Asgard will never have those things that were in the old Asgard. So, when you think of it like that sense, it's like, yeah, home is where the heart is. That is very true. But just because home is where the heart is doesn't mean that your new home is just as good, if not better, than the old home. It's probably worse, or it could be better. And that's why we don't say that every single place is home if we just try hard enough. Because it's like, yes, but there's context. I don't even know where I'm going with this.
I don't know
point
either.
I'll throw the box at you.
Yeah, the point is Atlas Shrugged sucks. Fuck Atlas Shrugged. Fuck all those people that said it was an amazing book and you needed to read it. Fuck them all.
Yeah. I mean, we could get into like a whole other discussion about like terrible books, but maybe we should save that for next week.
Oh, we could like spend hours on me just bitching about how retarded Lost is.
Yeah.
Especially
when something is designed just for the aspect of like there is absolutely nothing interesting, and then like at the very end of like the season or the episode we're gonna be like, oh, something's about to happen, and then like your brain is like, well, I'll just start watching the next episode, and then it turns out to be nothing. You're like, I was tricked, this is stupid, and now I'm already watching it, so I might as just well watch to the end of it. And it's
Yeah.
It's like Game of Thrones. It's like, oh my god, who's going to save us? Let's just give the kingdom to the cripple. Great idea. End scene.
I mean, that's what happened in 300, right?
No, we didn't. What? No.
Yeah, it was the cripple guy that betrayed the Spartans.
Well, yeah, the cripple was the one that betrayed the Spartans, but the cripple was also killed for it.
Anyhow.
He didn't actually get the kingdom.
Earl, I would like to ask a question real quick.
Yes.
Can I give David a good old smooch?
Oh, you want to give David a big old smooch?
Yes.
Figure out some way to do it. Before we end the podcast session, you want to do like a quick, fun, little dumb question?
Sure.
Let's see. Let's just try on some of these for no. Okay, yeah. Here's a good one. If you had to be body hair, where would you want to be body hair? If you had to be hair on the body, if you were cursed by a witch to spend the rest of eternity as someone's body hair until that person died, where would you want to be on the body?
I'm not going to answer this.
I'm gonna give someone a unibrow.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they
where I
have
wanna
normal
be.
eyebrows, but you can choose to be right between their eyebrows and give them a unibrow.
Wow.
That is terrible. Why are you not going to answer this?
Because you know me, you already know what I'm.
Are you talking about the bush?
Yes.
Okay. Would you prefer male or female?
People.
Okay. I would want to be head hair
Yeah.
because I like head hair. I think head hair is really cool. This is a really dumb,
Yeah,
stupid
that
question.
could have been taken out of context. I like head.
I agree with you, Sparrow. I like head too.
We all love head here.
All right. Since that question was maybe a little bit too quick, do we want to do another one?
No, I gotta go.
All right. Yeah, we can call it here then. Thanks for coming
Oh,
out.
have a wonderful night.
You too.
We all like head here.